Welcome back to another video of Bill's Ramblings. Today, our video takes place in Maryville on 47th Drive in the house that we lived in 1975. And I was a freshman at Alhambra High School. Now, we lived on 47th Drive just north of Indian School, and Alhambra High School was on about 39th Avenue and Camelback. So that put it right around 2 miles from our house to school. We used to walk to school, and right there on 47th Avenue, from Indian School to Camelback and from 47th Avenue to 43rd Avenue was a great big farm, an old farm that grew corn, and they irrigated. And so when I would walk to school, I would walk through the fields on dirt roads by the irrigation ditches, across 43rd Avenue and through an industrial park and across the railroad tracks on Grand Avenue, and then eventually to the high school. And so this will be relevant a little farther in the video. And so in 1975, I had decided that I wanted to be a welder. And so I was taking metal shop classes in high school, and my metal shop class got out just right around lunchtime. And so, I had a full load of classes in the morning and then a full load in the afternoon. And so I was building a go-kart. Now, at the time, dirt go-karts didn't exist. There was no razors. There were no three-wheelers. There was no any of that kind of stuff to speak of. And certainly there were no dirt go-karts. By that, I mean go-karts designed to drive around in the dirt and the mud and things like that. But I had it in my mind that I was going to build a dirt go-kart with big knobby tires on the back, and really just have something I could go out into the desert and have fun with. And so I had envisioned this go-kart, and I had started the building of it in my metal shop class. And while I was building the frame and welding it all up and learning about the different aspects of what it would take to build a functional go-kart, I was purchasing the parts from different places, other go-kart shops, and we didn't have the internet back then. And so it was off the newspaper and the want ads and things like that. And I ended up buying a Wisconsin Robin 6 horsepower engine to run the go-kart. And boy, I had some really nice spoke wheels to go on the front. And so different things like bucket seats and steering wheels and the spindles for the front, the axles for the back. And I was able to buy all these things from a go-kart shop down the road, which was just, I think it was just east of 43rd Avenue on the side of the road there, where there was an old go-kart track across from Big Sky Drive-In. And so I would walk down there and I would buy the parts and I'd bring them home, and I'd have them stashed there at the house or staged there at the house while I was building this frame. And, one day I had got that frame done. It was all finished being welded, and I got pretty excited after metal shop, and I had decided that, you know what, I just can't wait any longer. I just need to get this go-kart home and start putting it together. And so I decided to throw it on my back, and so I put that go-kart frame on my back, and away I went, walking home the 2 miles across the fields and everything. And I got home, and man, I was having a good time. I had all my tools out in the front yard, and I had the go-kart sitting in the front yard, and I had all the parts sitting around there, and I was attaching the spindles and the axles, and I was just having a good time. It was a beautiful day, and all of a sudden, Mom drives up. I guess it was her lunch, and she decided to come home for lunch. And I'll tell you what, I was really surprised when she came driving up the driveway because that I never expected her to do that. And she obviously didn't expect me to be sitting in the yard with my go-kart. And so she drives in the driveway, and I kind of stand there like the deer in the headlights going, oh man, this is not good. And so she gets out of the car and she walks over and she says, hey, Bill, what are you doing home? Don't you supposed to be in school? And I said, well, Mom, I'm on lunch. And she says, you're on lunch. And I said, yeah. And she goes, you're on lunch and you're putting this go-kart together out here in the front yard and you're going to be back in school in time for your next class. And I said, oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, she didn't believe that. And she, but I guess she played along and she said, well, I'll tell you what, because it's getting really close to the time that you need to go to school, then she goes, I'll tell you what, you go ahead and throw all that stuff back in the backyard and put your tools away, and I'll give you a ride to school. And I thought, oh, talk about being busted. Here I was busted. And so I put my tools away and I jumped in the car with her and away we went. And she took me all the way back to school to Alhambra and dropped me off at the front door. And she said, there you go. And if for any reason you're not there in your class on time, don't expect a note from me. Don't, you tell the teacher that you were at home, messing around with your go-kart or whatever you have to do. But nah, that was a decision you made. And so that was the getting busted for building that go-kart in my front yard. Now, I'm sure that Mom, when she came home, she didn't expect to find me in the yard, and I certainly didn't expect to find her coming home from school. And I guess when she got home from work that day, I would have this go-kart all put together, and she'd sit there and probably wonder, how is it you got that go-kart together in just a couple hours? And but anyway, that didn't happen, and I finished school and came home and went ahead and started putting the go-kart together. And that go-kart was the source of many, many problems in my life. And of course, that mostly because I was driving it and riding it around when I wasn't supposed to, just like I was building it when I wasn't supposed to. And we just had a lot of fun with that go-kart up and down in that neighborhood, they had alleys. And so we'd ride the go-kart in the alley and we'd ride it in the backyard. And eventually, when we moved out to 89th Avenue in Heatherbrae, 91st and Indian School as specific times, one time I decided it was during the summer and I was going to go ahead and drive that go-kart out to my cousin's place out on 83rd Avenue in Acoma. And so Mom goes off to work and I gas up that go-kart and boom, away I go. And I'm jetting down the road on the side of the road as fast as that go-kart will go. And I'm having a blast and go down 91st Avenue all the way across Grand Avenue and end up going over to 83rd and out to my cousin's house. And of course, we were out there the whole day just having a good time. They had motorcycles and we'd ride the go-kart and we ride the motorcycles and we were having a good old time. And all of a sudden I guess we weren't paying attention, me and my cousin Kevin, and it's getting on late in the evening and I realized that I can't drive that go-kart back home because it's getting dark and I didn't put any lights on it. So I had to call my mom, and I called her up and I said, hey, Mom. And she says, well, where are you? And I said, I'm out here at Kevin's place. Billy, how'd you get out there to Kevin's place? And I said, well, Mom, I rode the go-kart. And she said, she goes, you had no business driving that go-kart all the way out there to Peoria. You didn't have permission and it was unsafe. And how are you going to get home? And I said, well, Mom, it's too late and I can't do that. So I was wondering if you could come get me. And she goes, oh, I'll come get you. I'll come get you. So she drives out there, and I guess the drive out there, she was just not a happy camper, and so she was driving a Chevelle at the time. That was the car she had, and a go-kart wouldn't fit in the trunk of a Chevelle. And so she's like, okay, well, you're gonna have to leave that go-kart here, and we'll take you home and go back. Figure out another time where you can go back and get that go-kart, but you're not getting it now. And again, here we go. She's driving me home because I was off messing around on that go-kart and not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I don't know how long it took me to get my go-kart back home, but not only did we have a lot of fun on that go-kart, but I did get in a lot of trouble over it. So anyway, that's the a couple stories with the go-kart, and I want to thank you for sharing another video with me, and look forward to the next one. Bye now.